You there,
We'll wait
Jim?
for Luca to
Are you there, Luca?
catch up.
Anyway, I don't see the names of the people who want to make a public comment on the sign-in list, and I want to make sure they're included.
Whomever left a voicemail is included.
Okay, well, because you had lost Mr. Kolsak's at one time, and it didn't happen until the end of the meeting, so I just want to be sure.
No, his was never lost. There was an audio problem on one of the 3 platforms,
Okay.
and it was relayed to the public at the end. Everyone else heard it during the normal time in its entirety. Jim, can you hear us?
You want to unmute yourself, Jim?
So anyway, I would prefer to go after the other people speak, so.
If you could just hold on just a second.
Wonderful. We'll have a special meeting, and then we'll have our regular meeting, I guess.
After you play the voice recordings.
Luca, it seems that we can't hear the board members who are on Zoom.
Want to test? Can you hear this?
We can hear Ray. Jim, are you on mute?
I think we're just not talking.
I am not on mute. Can you hear me now?
There we go, yes. We have a question. It is a legal question. We have a resident who has entered the premises and would like to speak this evening during citizen comments and concerns.
Yeah, we have been very clear that citizens' comments and concerns will be taken by voicemail, that residents, due to the ongoing pandemic, we would not be conducting live meetings. I'm not sure why Ms. Wilson is present, nor how she got in the building at this point in time. There's a serious health concern, and Ms. Wilson has somehow managed to enter the meeting. We've been very clear to the public about how to.
We've been open all day long for people to do business in the building, and you just closed it in time for the meeting. And the Attorney General's binding opinion, number 2000-007, states that Roanoke was proper to claim the exemption that you claimed earlier today in your letter, Ms. Maluzzi's letter to the Attorney General, because they claimed the disaster was a flood. So since it was a flood, so there's no longer a legal reason that you can block people from the building, because the executive order has been over for months now. And what you are doing is violating the Open Meetings Act. This is a recent published decision, 20-007.
So if I may, we need somebody to just tell us point blank, because we're now delaying the meeting, arguing
You've had people in and out, members of the public come in and out all day long.
And the building closed at 5 p.m. to the public.
So why is the same building safe for people to pay their water bill all day long, but it's not safe for us to come in? This room is empty. Even if you were to go to the Pritzker's rules about having less than 50 or less than 10, we're only 5 people in this room.
Nevertheless, the meeting was published as closed to the public and taking place virtually. So look, the board can do whatever the board would like to do.
I don't think it's right for us to be giving.
Can I please respond? Ms. Wilson, you're completely incorrect about the Open Meetings Act. It provides that we can hold virtual meetings during an ongoing disaster declaration by the governor of the state of Illinois, which is precisely the situation we're in today. As long as there's an ongoing disaster declaration that makes meetings together with individuals no longer prudent or practical and unsafe, villages, governmental bodies have the right to conduct meetings virtually, which is exactly what we're doing for the health, safety, and welfare of the general public, including yourself.
You did not start closing the meetings until November, the end, last week of November.
Right. And guess what? And guess what? What happened then? What happened then? The numbers went skyrocket in the state of Illinois.
I challenged the village on the raise they're about to give the village manager.
John and Pat, it's my opinion that Ms. Wilson was given an opportunity, like every member of the general public, to leave a voicemail to address the village board, which she chose not to do. She chose not to do that in light of very clear instruction. We have a voicemail.
Not to give me Zoom access to address the board contemporaneously, because I had graphs to show, and I can't do that on a voicemail.
Nobody knows what you have to show, Ms. Wilson. All we know is we're in a pandemic where there's serious health concerns. You chose to enter the building in the face of direction that the meeting was going to be held virtually, like almost every governmental body is doing tonight. And
trespassing,
during this pandemic. So in my opinion, it's my opinion.
You need to give the same access to the public for the public comment that you would for a public hearing.
Ms. Wilson, Could we start our meeting?
Please do.
And you can have your reality over there? Thank you.
Yeah.
For those of you who have been watching, you might notice that we're late.
Well, we should ask. I don't know if this is being broadcast. So I don't know if Luca needs a second in order to begin or not. I don't know the answer to that.
It's on.
It's on?
Yes, it is.
We're good.
We're good?
There is Luca.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
This is Monday, January 4th, 2021. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. For the rest of the world, we are conducting this meeting tonight by Zoom in light of the ongoing pandemic and continuing declaration of disaster by the governor. I have determined that full in-person meetings are not practical or prudent at this time. All right. You have before you, Clerk Simpson, roll call, please.
President Porker?
Yes, I
Would you like me to-
backed up.
Oh, okay.
Roll call, please.
Now?
Please.
Okay. Trustee Vogel?
Here.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Rufato?
Here.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
President Horker?
Here. You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of December 21st, 2020. I need a motion for their approval.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Give the motion to Trustee Vito, the second to Trustee Rufato. Got it? Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Mr. Spondulis.
There are no changes to the agenda this evening.
Thank you, sir. Proclamations, appointments, administration of oaths. Look here. Citizens' concerns and comments. Clerk Simpson.
Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding issues relevant to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign in request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting.
Just as a reminder, this is a time for citizens to make their comments and express concerns and for the board to listen. Neither the board nor the staff will be responding at this time. IT will play any voicemails from citizens' concerns voicemail mailbox. Got it, Mr. Luca?
Hi, this is David Kolsak, and I'm leaving a message for the Village of Wheeling Board. To begin with, my name is David Kolsak, and I reside at 213 South Milwaukee Avenue, and I've been a resident since 1973 when I was 4 years old. My family owns and operates Kolsak Funeral Home and Turnkey, both located in the Village on Milwaukee Avenue. As a long-term resident, business owner, and someone who had served on the board of Chicago Executive Airport for over 13 years, I know what's going on in the Village. I personally know most of the Village Board members individually and have had many substantive conversations with John Spondulis through the years. What would the people of Wheeling think about this pending raise? A few years ago, I watched a budget presentation given by the Director of Finance where he referred to a utopian city called Spondulisville. At that time, I found it cringeworthy to use a fictitious scenario of a fiscally responsible community to be named after the Director of Finance's boss. Was he being humorous? Was he trying to impress his boss, or was he simply kissing up? Even back then, it was apparent that John had a stronghold on his employees and his staff at large. Throughout the years, I've watched the board members puppet-mastered by Mr. Spondulis in so many ways. It's clear that the board sees what Mr. Spondulis wants them to see. Mr. Spondulis favors certain law firms, developers from out of town, and favored employees. He sends ordinance enforcement officials to harass businesses rather than assist in trying to help them in trying times. Mr. Spondulis kills deals in one location in town to favor other sites more beneficial to his own agenda. He creates concrete manufacturing plants next to places where he just eradicated a mobile home development. The fact is that Joe Vito told me personally that no project will ever be approved unless staff is behind it. Essentially, he's neutered the board, and they will only vote in his direction. That's not leadership, but more dictatorship. Do as I say or else. To the average resident, it may be invisible, but to those who really watch what's transpired, we've seen the village of Wheeling turn into Spondilisville by name only. Over the past decade, I've watched Mr. Spondilis vehemently demand a full funding of our police and fire pensions to underfunding them most recently. That fictitious city on a hill of Spondilisville was nothing but an ideal, not a reality. From the things that I've personally seen and experienced, Mr. Spondilis also does things that are good for public relations in name only. He shortened the VFW parade to 2 blocks to ensure that there was little space for people and lots of time for a photo op. He pushed through a new fire station in the midst of an economic and health crisis. He canceled Santa Claus and any other event for the children, while businesses made great strides to alter their businesses to accommodate the ridiculous and arduous new edicts put in place by the governor. He never fought for Restaurant Row, even though he says it's the backbone of the village. The fact is that during a period of economic uncertainty, Mr. Spondilis' agenda only gained momentum. It's become clear to me that under Mr. Spondilis' leadership, the town has become less of a government for the residents and businesses, but rather a town that works solely on behalf of the village board and the village staff. Even the casual observer will see that it's clear if this raise is given on the consent agenda, no less, is crazy. The odds of one of the board members bringing this up for discussion have to be thousands to 1. During the last 8 months, I would illustrate this by the lack of leadership from the village about the pandemic or anything else for that matter. This comes directly from the desk of Mr. Spondilis. While all of us are suffering just trying to survive, I know of nothing that Mr. Spondilis did to help stem the massive budget deficit that we are now facing. In fact, Mr. Spondilis was actively pushing forward a spending agenda even though he knew it would produce massive deficits. See the expensive firehouse on Wheeling Road. During all of this time, there was no communication with the residents or businesses that fund that very budget. No email blasts, which are essentially free communications. No help for restaurants or small businesses who are suffering. No ray of hope. As far as I know, there were no furloughs of government employees, even though Village Hall was essentially closed. That's not what the CEO does in the time of crisis, unless money doesn't mean anything. At this point, giving a 7% raise to a man who has seized power and done virtually nothing for the village of Wheeling at large other than run it into the ground is a massive slap in the face of the people of Wheeling. Moreover, this increase will increase our pension liability for decades until the day he dies. In closing, I'd like to directly speak to the village board, especially trustees Kruger, Papantos, Rafato, and village president Horker. You agree to this raise, and you will guarantee a massive loss in the coming election, as you will have betrayed your constituents. People are hurting, and you don't see it as you sit in the chamber of Spondilisville. And the people will speak knowing that you are rewarding this type of mismanagement and spitting in the face of the people who put you there.
That it? Is that all? You left out the tooth fairy.
President Horker?
Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. I would like to answer some of those charges, but I will do so. I plan to pull that item from consent agenda, and I will speak to those false charges during our meeting. Thank you.
Okay, so you'll be pulling that from the consent agenda?
Yes,
So the refunding of the business licenses and waiving the liquor licenses, that doesn't count?
Which
Okay.
one is he pulling?
Should we, what?
Go ahead.
Can we look into, you want to do a point by point on this, or kind of keep in mind?
well,
that
if
this is-
I pull it, can we discuss it at that point?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's keep the business moving. Anybody else want to? Yeah. When we get to the consent agenda, we'll be discussing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, during our regular business.
Yeah. Staff reports. Manager Spondilis.
Thank you. I just wanted to announce the good news that the village will be swearing in 5 new police officers tomorrow. This comes through the loss through retirement, through attrition. We were able to have an active list and choose 5 excellent candidates. The challenge, of course, is getting those candidates through the police academy because due to COVID, they are not currently running, so we will be holding some of our FTO, our field training exercises before they go to the academy, which we think will absolutely make any officer better able to do their job because they will spend time in the radio room, they will spend time rotating through the department before they even get to the academy. So very happy to say that we have 5 excellent candidates coming on as officers. There were a number of other changes because of those retirements. We will put together a full list of all the promotions that have happened and make an announcement in one fell swoop at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Svandelis. Clerk Simpson, consent agenda, please.
Item 11, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the board member or citizens are so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all agenda items.
Excuse me, I would like to poll item 11C, which would then become 13F.
Wait,
I'm sorry,
I can't.
13G.
Trustee
13F.
Papantos would like to pull item 11C and renumber that to the end of the agenda, 13F, is it?
It's 13F, okay.
Thank you. And continue reading, please.
We need a vote on that.
No, you
No.
don't need a vote.
According to Mr. Ferrolo, you don't.
Oh, okay. Well, 11E, 213.
11C.
11C?
C is in Charlie.
Oh, C is in Charles. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard to hear over Zoom.
213F. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll read the other ones. 11A, resolution authorizing and directing the village manager to execute a service provider contract renewal in the amount of $145,901 with Municipal GIS Partners Incorporated for GIS support services in FY 2021 as part of the ongoing GIS Consortium Initiative. Item 11B, ordinance declaring a surplus and authorizing the disposal of personal property owned by the Village of Wheeling by recycling, trade-in, donations, or public auction. 11D, resolution extending certain benefits of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, FFCRA, to Village of Wheeling employees upon expiration of the FFCRA. Resolution 11E, resolution authorizing change order number 4 to the construction contract with WB Olson Incorporated for the demolition and construction of a new fire station 23 for a credit of $3,738. 11F, resolution authorizing the acceptance of an Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority Victims of Crime Act grant award for the positions of Victim Services Coordinator and a new part-time victim advocate.
Need a motion for the removal, or for the consent agenda?
Not for the
So
removal.
moved.
Not for the removal.
No, I corrected myself.
Okay, got it.
Second.
But that was Trustee
Vogel?
Trustee Vogel for the motion, Trustee Papantos for the second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rovato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. New business, Clerk Simpson.
13A, ordinance granting special use approval to establish a light motor vehicle repair facility in the B3 General Commercial and Office District, Midas, 1044 South Milwaukee Avenue, docket number 2020-25.
Mr. Clicker, there you are. Is he muted? You're muted,
He is
Mr.
muted,
Clicker.
yes.
I knew I was going to do that. Yes, and the petitioner is proposing to establish a Midas light motor vehicle repair facility in the B3 General Commercial Office District, which requires a special use by the village board. The property was formerly occupied by Corba Auto Repair Facility, which was a legal non-conforming use since it was in operation prior to the property being annexed into the village. With the changeover of ownership and user, with the changeover of user, it does now require a special use. It was presented to the Plan Commission at their December 16th meeting and received unanimous approval, recommendation for approval.
Questions or comments from the board? Are you waving a hand or? I see. Oh, Trustee Rufato, was that? You were just, okay. Okay.
I was just repeating myself.
If there are no questions or comments, I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion Trustee Kruger, second Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Please read B and C together.
B and C together. Okay, 13B, ordinance granting special use approval for to establish a car wash facility and related sign improvements in the B3 General Commercial and Office District for the property located at 966 South Milwaukee Avenue, H20 Express Car Wash, docket number 2020-35. Item 13C, ordinance granting major site plan and building appearance approval for a car wash facility at 966 South Milwaukee Avenue, H20 Express Car Wash, docket number PC 2023.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, the petitioner and property owner is H2O Express Car Wash, and they're seeking a special use to operate a car wash facility at 966 South Milwaukee, and then subsequently the site plan approval for that proposed car wash facility. Both were presented to the Plan Commission on December 16th. They both received unanimous recommendation for approval, with the site plan receiving the following conditions. That specification sheets for exterior building light fixtures shall be submitted with an application for building permit. 2, that prior to permit issuance, a draft public access easement for the sidewalk shall be reviewed and approved by staff. Condition number 3 was to revise trash enclosure detail before the village board meeting. The petitioner has done that, so that is not a necessary condition going forward for the ordinance approval if granted. Number 4 was if a looping water main is proposed, then a draft plat of easement shall be provided prior to permit issuance. And the 5th condition was that a final configuration of the access to and from Milwaukee Avenue shall be subject to the approval from the Illinois Department of Transportation, including improvements to the median to facilitate left turns into the site, and a physical restriction on turning movement, a pork chop or full or partial, as opposed to signage alone for movements not specifically allowed by IDOT. Those were the conditions that were put on it. The petitioner does indicate that they have the approvals from IDOT for the access. We have not received that permit yet most likely due to the current COVID situation, but the condition does remain.
There is the light meter page as well. I have that right here.
Yes.
Okay, so that's been complied with as well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I cut in on anybody else. Does anyone have questions or comments? Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. And this, I'm sorry, who is the petitioner? Is he here?
Yes.
Hi, Trustee. My name is Nick Standiford. You might remember me from the Craft Grow a few months ago.
Yes.
Paul Kana is the principal of H2O Car Wash Express, and he is on the line. Mr. Patel, his business partner, is also on the line, as is Mitch Moe, who is our architect. So
thank you.
Would you like me for them to start their cameras so that you can see them?
I don't care. I just wanted to make sure somebody was here just to help answer my questions, but thank you. Just two quick questions, more with the site plan approval. When this first came to us over a year ago, basically the same project, I understand it's different ownership. There was a lot of discussion regarding the landscape to protect the neighbors in River Mill and the amount of trees that were planted. From what I could see, you are planning to put those in. How quickly will they grow, and how do you plan to maintain them so that that buffer between residential and business is maintained?
So I'll let our architect here answer that question.
Yes, hi, my name is Mitch Moe from Neary Architects. So the plants along that north property line that'll be up against the fence will be planted at a minimum of 10 feet. They are coniferous, so meaning they're evergreen, so they should, they'd be full year round. And then, so those will be planted at 10 feet minimum, so which is quite a bit larger than typical. And then in terms of keeping them maintained, there is we do have a sprinkler system, which is also part of your packet, which will maintain all the landscaping within the property.
Okay, I just want to make sure that 5 years from now, the neighbors aren't saying, yeah, it looked really good when they first started, but it's no longer there. So thank you for that. And can somebody please explain to me, so will patrons be able to make a left turn out of the facility? Do you have a permit for that right now?
Yes, they will be during certain hours of the day. There'll be a sign. There's an agreement with IDOT that a sign's to be placed along the entrance saying that you're not, are you talking about a left-hand turn in or a left-hand turn out?
Out.
Yeah, there will be a sign at the exit saying you can't turn left during certain times of day where there's known to be higher traffic. I don't have the exact number, the hours in front of me. That's what IDOT required. Is they didn't think it would be necessary to do a right in, right out, because then people would just go all the way through the subdivision. And it takes a while actually to go down through the subdivision to pull back out. And they didn't want that to be happening where people were just driving through the subdivision to get to the car wash. So there will be a sign there, but that's how we're going to enforce it.
Thank you. And then just as a follow-up to that, for a left in, will that be restricted by time of day?
I think there's a left-hand turn lane, if I'm not mistaken, Mitch. Is that correct? Is that accurate? So there's a turn lane.
Yeah. Is there currently a turn lane there? I don't believe so.
No, but that's part of the engineering.
Yeah.
You will be adding a turn lane into the facility. Okay. And
we're not required to do, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're not required to do one of those pork chops, which is, I learned this through this project. It's one of those where the concrete is elevated like a few feet and you're supposed to not drive, when you try to drive over it, it ruins your car. They didn't require one of those in this project.
Because they are going to allow left turns.
Correct.
And that would be the whole reason, and I appreciate that. And this is a naive question. How loud are the vacuum cleaners, and will they only be in operation during regular operation of the car wash? In other words, somebody can't pull in there at midnight to decide to vacuum their car.
I'll defer to the operators on that. Paul or Chris?
Yeah, it'll only be.
Paul, you came on, you were unmuted at the beginning, but now you're muted. So if you want to try that again.
Sorry. They'll only be available during the operating hours. After hours, they'll be shut off.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee.
Pantos, are there any other questions? Trustee Kruger? Trustee Kruger?
Thank you, Mr. President. On that left turn and IDOT situation, what's the expected timeline for staff to get the confirmation that they need so that this is no longer a condition?
I thought I already submitted that approval, or the engineer did, but I can send that to staff tomorrow, the IDOT permitting information. Because I was told that it's done. And that's what the engineer represented in his letter to the village. So I can work that out with the village staff.
Sounds
and get
great.
it as soon as possible.
That's what I'm looking for. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was just listening. Any other questions or comments?
I have one.
Oh, Trustee Vito.
Yeah, so are we still requiring that bike rack? It just seems absurd to me to have a bike rack at a car wash.
At the car wash?
Right. I hope we don't.
Mr. Clicker, is there a bike rack required?
There is, as part of any new development, we do request bike racks, and the petitioner is providing one.
All right. They give that away in a couple free car washes to people. I don't know. That's going to be some costs.
The employees.
Trustee Vito, expect to see, sending your bike through when you ride over there.
Yeah, what are you gonna charge for a bike wash?
Well, we haven't figured that one out yet.
Just videotape it and, anyway.
I know that Trustee Vito asked the same question 2 years ago when this was pending, so just as good now as it was then.
That's right.
Good to be consistent.
But now I'd like to ask Attorney Stanford to stand up to see if he's wearing sweatpants or actual suit pants.
No. I actually put dress pants on, Trustee Vito.
All right, fair enough.
I knew you'd ask that question.
Since we seem to have lost any need for relevant conversation, I suppose we could probably ask for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Rufato, second by Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang? Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Did we lose Trustee Lang?
Think so.
Item C.
Yeah,
Here he comes.
We'll be beginning. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Audio back. We're in.
Awesome. Is that a yes, Trustee Lang?
Voted yes. If you missed
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So that was on item B. We need a similar motion for item C. Is that correct, Mr. Ferrolo?
Kruger?
Motion, Trustee Kruger. Second.
Second.
Trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, congratulations. Welcome to the village again.
Thank you all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Item D.
13D.
Yes, ma'am.
Ordinance granting special use approval to establish a drive-through facility in the B1 Plant Shopping Center zoning district, Cafe Zupas, 1590 East Lake Cook Road, docket number 2020-36.
Mr. Clicker.
Petitioner is Cafe Zupas. They're seeking a special use to add a drive-through. As you know, we did just do a text amendment or a use table update to permit restaurants as a permitted use. However, the drive-throughs still do require a special use. Since this restaurant didn't have a drive-through and is now adding it, a special use is necessary. This was presented at the December 16th Plan Commission meeting, and it was unanimously recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker. Questions or comments from the board? I see nothing here, and I don't see anybody waving or jumping up and down, so then I would ask for a motion for approval.
So moved. Rufato.
Give the motion to Rufato and the second to Papantos, was that?
Yes.
All I need is a few more places to look. Clerk Simpson, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger? President Horker?
Yes.
Item E, discussion regarding major site plan concept review of 225 Industrial Lane redevelopment, waste management.
Mr. Spondilis.
Thank you. Our process, as the board recalls, is set to ensure the equitable treatment of all petitioners when they have a major site plan concept review before the board. I read some standard language, hand it over then to Community Development Director Clicker for a project overview and introduction of the petitioners. The petitioner can then make their presentation to the board. If necessary, Director Clicker would then provide any additional information regarding zoning, special use, or site plan concerns, and then, of course, the board can ask any questions they desire. Before I read the standard language, the question before the board looking for consensus is the board in favor of the concept plan for the proposed waste management major site plan redevelopment? The current request is for a non-binding approval of the proposed major site plan redevelopment. The feedback by the board will be used by the development team as a guide in the preparation of the formal development plan. The outcome of this evening shall not constitute a formal approval or denial of the application. The decision by the board tonight is non-binding and shall not prevent the applicant from moving forward with a formal application. Director Clicker.
Yes, Waste Management of Illinois is proposing to redevelop the property at 225 Industrial Lane to serve as an expansion for their compressed natural gas fleet vehicle operations. The property is currently used for storage of empty waste management containers with no existing structures. This does require us to come before or go through the Plan Commission for a major site plan review. With that, we have conducted a review of the concept, and staff has reviewed the plans and recommends that the proposed proceed to the Plan Commission for major site plan review.
Ross, can you introduce our petitioner?
Sure. The petitioner, Nick Bremer, is here to answer any questions and to talk us through a little bit more about how they intend to use the property.
Yes. So the property in question is currently used as an empty container storage yard. The parcels due south currently house some additional fleet vehicles. This is an expansion of approximately 40 truck parking locations, and they do CNG fueling. It's a slow fuel system overnight for the vehicles to be available the following morning. Part of that redevelopment is obviously to update the site, reduced impervious surface, update the stormwater system, tie into the village stormwater network that was just installed along Industrial Lane, as well as update the site landscaping and green space requirements.
Director Clicker, any other zoning, special use, or site plan concerns for the board to hear before opening it up for questions?
Certainly. With the staff review comments, just if this does move forward, staff does question there's a manual slide gate that is being proposed along Industrial Avenue. So with it being manual, we believe that there is potential to create a queue of trucks trying to enter or on Industrial Avenue waiting to open the gate. So staff would recommend that if this does move forward, that a programmed or automatic gate be used in place of a manual gate. We also have concerns regarding the aesthetics of the proposed overhead trussed CNG system, which would extend 21 feet 5 inches above the grade and would be significantly visible. Waste Management's fleet vehicles currently use CNG, as mentioned, and this would be an expansion of that. And there are at-grade mounted CNG refueling stations immediately to the south at the Sumac Road facility, which we believe would be more suitable for the subject site. And also that there is a 6-foot-tall chain-link perimeter fence is proposed, but perhaps a more decorative style fencing may be more appropriate along Industrial Lane, where with the remainder of the fence, we do believe could remain chain link as it is adjacent to industrial properties. The petitioner has indicated and agreed to install additional landscaping along Industrial to soften the aesthetic of the fence, but we would like to explore a potential different fence along that edge.
Speaking to the items that were raised during the initial plan review, number one being the site gate. So that is a manual site gate. Those will be opened prior to launch and remain open until the vehicles would return to the location. So as far as any queuing on the industrial lane, that would be eliminated by the fact that the gate would not be closed at any point while waiting for any trucks to return. Let's see here, the overhead fueling system. So when the site was originally developed, the fueling system in place used jersey barriers or K-rails with piping tied directly to it. So it's about 4 feet tall, about 4.5 feet tall. Since those initial sites were developed, Waste Management has started to use an overhead truss fueling system. This is mainly preferred for this location as it's safer as the launches happen early in the morning. It allows the route managers to be more visible and stand between trucks that are nose to nose for the morning launches, as well as they're able to cross from side to side. Much easier than obviously having to go over top of or walk over and around the K-rail system.
Trustee.
Point if there's questions from the board, yes.
Yes, Trustee Lang.
Thank you. So it sounds like we're going to add a lot more traffic to industrial in and out traffic. Is that correct, Nick?
So out of the 40 vehicles, 20 of them would be faced out towards industrial. The other 20 actually it's single-way traffic, so they would actually be directed back towards the site. So you would be looking at about 20 vehicles in the morning. Those launches generally happen between about 5 and 6:30, and then they would trickle back. So during any of your normal operational hours, they come back generally in about groups of about 2 to 3.
Okay. Having used industrial quite a bit, it is difficult at certain rush hour times to head northbound on Milwaukee. There isn't. There's a raised median there that you can't even hop on the median. You really have to plan it correctly to get through into traffic sometimes. So it's probably even going to be more difficult with a truck.
Yeah, and I would think that how the site would operate and lay out its fleet, as there's more available spaces on the south, that they would only position the vehicles that would be southbound on Milwaukee would be ideally placed at the locations that would feed directly out into industrial lane and then follow out to Milwaukee, where, yes, correct, you can't make a left out of there and go northbound on Milwaukee.
Yeah, pretty difficult. Well, so I'm just bringing that to your attention. I'm sure you know, and you're out there as well. But I appreciate the care in the fencing, especially along industrial or any other sites, even along Sumac or so, where there is visibility to either industrial lane or Sumac. And so something very nice you guys can do with the fencing. When Waste Management first came to that site years and years ago, there was a lot of care into the fencing of that area, and it had a more appealing look to it definitely for what's inside. And so just whatever care you can take to nicen up the fencing. Right now you could see you acquired some land, and you can see a bunch of dumpsters piled up, and they're very visible because it's just a chain link fence.
Yeah, and with this development, actually all of those containers would be moved from the site. So just by this development, a lot of that eyesore will no longer be on this facility location, whether on Sumac or on.
Great. Okay, and then lastly, I do take Sumac every now and then, and you notice some trash blowing around at times, and just to take some extra care, good opportunity to remind you guys while you're in here to take extra care with that, because it can start getting unsightly. And I appreciate your help in making it look nicer and better.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something we can review with the design team and the local waste management team as well, to ensure that any free trash out in the yard is properly addressed moving forward on the site.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Next will be Trustee Papantos and then Trustee Vogel. Trustee Rufato, you will follow.
Thank you. Trustee Lang basically asked most of my questions, and one of my major concerns was the left turn. If you go to an airport meeting, and even leaving an airport meeting at 8 p.m., making that left-hand turn out onto Milwaukee Avenue to go northbound is dangerous or close to impossible. I'm assuming if you direct traffic, which sounds like a very reasonable idea, that the trucks would be going southbound, they're going to be making a left-hand turn into the site then at the end of the day. They're coming back from that area. Is there a left-hand turn lane there?
I do not believe there's a left-hand turn lane there. Generally, when the trucks do come back, they are directed to go by the site shop first. They do what's called a post-trip inspection for the vehicles, where they overlook the whole exterior of the vehicle, and then it would be designated for whatever routine maintenance would be required for the vehicle. So that is actually off of Sumac.
Okay.
At 200 Sumac. So that's generally those vehicles will travel through there first, be evaluated, worked on, and then parked. So a lot of the interior maneuvering of the vehicles would actually take place off of Sumac Road. And then they would just venture out if they needed to come in off of Industrial Lane. They would then you'd be looking at about 20 vehicles that would be having to turn onto Industrial Lane, whether they go out and then back on.
Right. One of my concerns was we just redid Industrial Lane, the village, as far as a street improvement. And, obviously it was a major project. And
it looks beautiful.
I'd like it to stay that way, I guess.
Absolutely.
What I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The weight of that many garbage trucks every day versus, once through a neighborhood will take its toll. So I'm sure you're going to hear from us if it doesn't. What are you going to do with the containers that are currently on that site?
I believe they're being relocated to a different waste management facility outside the area. I'm not sure if they've if they're all going to go to one spot or if they're going to be going to a local landfill area. I can circle back with the real estate team that was kind of heading up where all the containers were going. On the design side of things, I was just told they're not going to be there. So
okay, my concern was, are they going to be stacked up someplace?
Yeah.
Bad.
No, we're gonna they will they'll be moved. I'm not sure where, but I can circle back and let the village board know.
And we did with the road improvements also install curbing and sewers. Do you wash the trucks there, or is there going to be more water flow going through, or is this all done?
No, I believe the trucks are currently washed off site.
Great. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Vogel, and you'll be followed by Trustee Rufato.
Yes. You mentioned 20 vehicles exiting, but in the recap we were given, you said you were going to dispatch 40 vehicles every half hour for the first 90 minutes of the day. So how does that 20 compare to that 120?
So the way that the site is actually laid out, so they do launches. Generally, the launches are anywhere from I want to say 30 to 40 on this location. So only 20 would be able to actually exit that way, as the site is developed to be one-way traffic on that parcel to maximize green space. So there's only 20 that are actually directed northbound on 225 that would be able to exit onto Industrial Lane. The other 20 would be feeding south. So there may be more than 20 that leave, but only 20 of them would be going out through Industrial.
Okay, well then that leaves 100 according to our recap.
Yes, yeah, no. So they would do like 30 to 40 at a time.
Okay, all right. Is that the maximum capacity at that point then for you? Are you building the maximum, or are you building something in there to add down the road?
So generally, when we do these expansions, they do an expansion with about 5 to 8% increase already built into it. So even though there's 40 proposed, that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be 40 vehicles there at the beginning. You would, based off the way that the site is laid out, I could see that unless they had an expanded footprint, this would be the most that this facility could handle.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. Trustee Rufato, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just the image that you showed, the aerial view that we're seeing that you sent us, is that a current aerial view?
I believe so. Actually, I think that was that was provided here recently. That's a current view from the street of 225.
Okay, so and you've got it blocked off for 225. Does this include the vacation of the Stavros Road?
Yes, so there's a 66-foot Stavros Road that appears to have voluntarily been vacated there by both our neighbors to the east, as well as waste management operations. So that would be a part of this development is the formal vacation of that road and splitting that right away 33 and 33 with 33 feet western side with waste management and the 33 feet to the eastern side with our current neighbors.
Okay, all right. So then, so I assume there's only one entrance and exit coming off of Industrial Lane, correct? Because it looks like in this aerial view, looks like you can get in there in two ways.
Yes, there's currently two accesses off there. There would be two in the development, so you have bound and out.
Okay, got it. I see that. So why didn't you? Why wasn't all the traffic directed to Sumac? Why not just close that off and direct all the traffic through Sumac?
So based off of the way that the site is laid out, it's very narrow to be able to fit those vehicles in. So if we wanted to direct all the traffic off of Sumac, we would still actually have more vehicles that would have to go onto Industrial just to be able to park them, because they would have to then be directed southbound so that they would exit via Sumac. The way that they are laid out now, so the maximum vehicles you would have on there would be 20.
Okay. And then last question, is there going to be a lot of remediation required in this area, soil remediation?
The soil's tested. Everything that's being hauled off as far as an LPC 663 form have been done. Nothing popped out on that as far as further remediation of the soils. We are doing an underground detention system for the stormwater, and all of that came back clean as well.
Okay. All right, great. That's all I had, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Kruger, you had something?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Nick, hi. Real quick question for you. I don't, like my colleagues, my other colleagues, I don't travel Industrial Drive very often. I just wanted to know who are your neighbors on either side of you on the Industrial Lane side?
Our neighbors on the east, I believe, is a repair shop. I don't know them off the top of my head, to be completely honest with you. And then our neighbors to the west, I believe, is an old repair shop. It's family owned. We were looking at kind of trying to combine everything all right there, and that didn't happen.
Right.
But
I was just thinking more about what Director Clicker was saying about the fencing, that staff would really like to see something a little bit more decorative, at least on the Industrial Road, Industrial Lane side for appearance's sake. I was just wondering who's on the other sides that might want to see something nicer too. And I am also not very familiar with CNG overhead truss canopies, and so I just Google searched them, and they're really tall, and they look like a big erector set thing. And
yeah, they're kind of well, yeah, they do. They look a lot like a little erector set going up.
Right.
So
am I looking at your site plan right by seeing that you would have two of those on the sort of the eastern edge and then right down the center?
Correct. Yeah, so there would be two lines of those.
Okay, and then are you opposed to at grade, or they got to be these erector set things?
So they put them above head, just it, especially down the middle line. Yeah, because so like the way that they launch in the morning is so the route managers would be there and they would be actually standing there in the middle, so where they would be the most visible during the launching sequence. So it's not that the K-rail system doesn't work. It's more about a safety issue at that point. That it's best for those people to be situated in front, so where they can be visible to all drivers at all times.
And they're all just like this metal thing. There's nothing decorative about them, right?
Correct.
Okay, well that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Mr. Berner?
Yes.
So you couldn't just put a 6-foot-tall steel post filled with concrete to protect your traffic directors, as opposed to the 21-foot-tall compressed natural gas?
Yeah. So so those are mass-produced truss fueling systems too. So they're set and ready to go. The other option is the K-rail system. So those are down on ground level, and so what that doesn't allow you to do is to pass between the two rail systems. So that's why they're overhead. But yes.
Okay. Well, you just seem to be emphasizing the safety more.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, President Horker?
Trustee Papantos, yes.
Thank you. Just one question. With the airport being so close, is there a problem with 21-foot structures, or is that any?
The FAA has actually already reviewed and done a determination on those as a no conflict.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Any other questions or comments from the trustees? I'm not seeing anybody jumping up and down or waving. Do we come to the consensus part now?
Yes, once again, the question is the board, yes or no, in favor of the concept plan for the proposed waste management major site plan redevelopment?
Clerk Simpson, just do a roll call and give us a yes or no, trustees.
Okay, Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang? Did he say yes? Trustee Kruger?
We lost him again.
He's lost?
Yes.
him again.
Yes, please.
President Horker?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we still have it?
I think we could, since this is just a consensus vote and there is certainly a majority, we could probably move on.
Yeah.
And then just for the sake of the record, when we see Trustee Lang reappear,
next time we see him,
formalize his vote.
We'll ask him.
How's that?
Excellent. That brings us to item F. I would like to say a few things before we get this ball rolling.
Would you like me to read it first?
Sorry?
Would you like me to read it first?
Sure. Read it first. Thank you.
You're welcome. 13F, resolution approving an increase in compensation for the village manager pursuant to the village manager's employment agreement. Okay.
Thank you. I don't know where this guy's been hiding for the last year, not to have mentioned or noticed at a single meeting when we talked about waiving license fees, waiving liquor license fees, waiving inspection fees to help the businesses and the restaurants, not to mention when we spoke about the Economic Development Director creating the website and the links to what, like, everything. But Clerk Simpson, how many days did it take to organize from the time you came and asked for the Santa through town?
Within a week.
Within a week, magically.
And there was no overtime. There was just managers Fondelis working with us to put it across.
Wait,
and he went
who's
a
us?
step further.
Wait, who's us?
Hmm?
Who's us? Who was us that he worked with? Who was the us that he worked with?
He worked with staff and, oh, I'm sorry, the Wheeling Historic, myself, basically.
And what was that in place of?
in place of Lollipop Lane.
Who decided to kill Lollipop Lane?
Yeah, Wheeling Historical wanted to do something for the village because we didn't have Lollipop Lane. We came up with this idea, and I approached managers Fondelis, and we were just going to do a day, and he came up with this fantastic plan that we covered the entire village, and it was greater than we anticipated. And there was no overtime involved in any of the staff, and the staff was more than cooperative, and managers Fondelis bent over backwards.
So I guess you didn't kill Santa Claus, you just got him to all the houses in town.
He even volunteered to be Santa Claus if I couldn't get one every night.
That would have been awesome.
Yes.
I would like to have seen that.
Right?
And who was going to be Mrs. Claus?
I started taking notes like too far along, but the firehouse, we wasted money on the firehouse, the Station 23, the millions that we've been saving for all these years that we spoke about every time we voted on this thing, that we were putting money aside for years to pay for this thing so it wouldn't have to be bonded. And I think we even spoke about it at the budget. I mean, this guy, I think he's still mad that he's not on the airport commission anymore, and his attempt to get rid of me failed. But anyway, normally I open the comments to the trustees first, but this is an irritation. Does anybody have anything they would like to say? I'll keep my mouth shut now.
Thank you.
Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. I pulled this because there were just so many items that were said, and I tried to take notes, and I apologize that my notes, I was writing as fast as I can, and now I can't read my own handwriting, but this is ridiculous. I believe Mr. Kolsak made a statement that, we shouldn't be doing this because it's political suicide, and we won't be voted in. So basically, according to his theory, I guess the village manager should only receive a raise every other year because there's an election every odd year. So, great way to treat employees. John's review takes place per his contract on an annual basis. We discuss it. We say, what's going on? If anybody thinks that this town is not in good shape, you're driving down the roads with your eyes closed. I mean, look at what's going on with the building, with the development. We have somebody who has finally taken the initiative to develop the land on the west side of town at Dundee. I believe it's going to be called London Crossing. It was presented as Wingspan. These projects, yes, staff works on them, but they work on them under the direction of the village manager. Just about everything occurs under his direction. I wrote a note about pension underfunding. I have absolutely no idea what Mr. Kolsak was talking about. Not only do we fund our pension as per requirements every single time, if there is a surplus, the board has made the decision, a policy decision, that the surplus goes towards pension. As far as creating a bigger pension deficit because of a raise for the village manager, the village manager's pension is IMRF. And that pension, I believe, is 90% funded. Managers Fondelis, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or check with Director Mondashane. Speaking of Director Mondashane, he's the only person who can explain tax levies in such a way that the normal resident who is watching the budget meeting, okay, perhaps, there are not too many of us who really want to sit through an entire budget meeting, as to how tax levies work and what effect a tax levy will have on a citizen. To call it Spondylusville, you had to call it something. He made a fictitious town. It was not to make John feel better about himself. As a matter of fact, I know in times past, John said, I wish he wouldn't do that. I feel embarrassed. I don't think it matters. the Santa Claus thing, thank you, President Horker, for taking care of that, because I'm pretty sure that you said it much better than I would have. I didn't know you had that much power to kill Santa, John. I'm sorry. You know, all the kids in my neighborhood still believed, and they were very, very excited to see him come by. VFW parade is not a village event. The village helps. I don't know what photo op Mr. Kolsak was talking about, but I've walked in those parades. I don't see that they are a problem. I don't know that there's a problem that people can't fit in order to, see the parade. It is a VFW function. It is a way to honor individuals who have served in the military. I'm very proud to say that my son-in-law, my father, my uncles, my grandfathers have all served in United States military, all of them Army, I believe. And to honor them on Memorial Day, thank you, VFW. And the village is not killing it in any way, shape, or form. I took this off of consent, or asked to have it removed from consent, just to say it. I totally believe that Manager Spondilis deserves this raise. And, it is hard. Yes, we are in a pandemic, but work is still going on at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Any other questions? Trustee Rufato?
The one comment that I heard, and I know this was discussed at a village board meeting, was the concrete company on Milwaukee Avenue. And it was discussed, and we all knew what that was about. That was a temporary ask, I believe, by the state to do that. It's not a concrete company that was going to be there permanently. And everybody else discussed the other things that were just not true. So that was my only comment. Thank you.
I hope this is not an indicator of the politics to come. This is not.
Oh, Trustee
There should be some truth. Sorry? Trustee Vito? Oh, who's waving?
Trustee Lang.
Trustee Lang. You're back. Trustee Lang.
I know.
We'll need your vote later.
But I'm here. So,
Awesome.
The comments heard and the comments we've heard in the past couple months from certain residents, all sour grapes. They are, they for whatever reason, they do not like John. And this is a group of people, in this village. And they don't like John. They don't like some of us. And we can't worry about that. We don't work for them solely. We work for the village of Wheeling and all the folks and businesses here. And we've done so much, and John has done so much to help us, through this time. He's a fantastic leader. He's restaffed us with some great department heads. He's doing everything he should be doing and more. He's making our town appear better than any of the local towns. There are issues with, or folks from other towns have said, wow, how is Wheeling getting all these developments and how are they successful at this? Well, it's teamwork, and it's the leader of that team who is really pushing most of this. So, I have no problem with this, giving John a raise. I see how, folks, like I said, they're going to continue to bash him, continue to bash some of us. I can't worry about that. And we look past that. In fact, most of it falls on deaf ears at this point, and it's a shame. I wish those folks would use their time better, in a positive way. I, like several other board members, are positive thinking people, and that's what I'd prefer to see, is positivity in this town. So, yes, John, you deserve every penny of that, and I will be voting yes for it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Just one other comment.
Trustee Rufato.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Talking about staff layoffs and furloughs and whatever, the staff did an excellent job in preventing that. And that again points to the management of our village, that we avoided that. Was it discussed? I'm sure at some point it was, but we have avoided doing that by careful management of our budget. And I am sure that that is going to continue in the future. And that's what we need in our management team. Do we agree? Do we always agree with John? No, we don't. But overall, and I guess I was mentioned in that voicemail, I can't worry about the politics of this. It's what is good for the village, and I truly believe that this is good for the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Kruger?
Thank you, Mr. President. I suppose because I was called out, I should say something too, but listening to my colleagues, they picked up on virtually everything that, we discuss, and when we talk about Manager Spondilis's review. And Manager Spondilis is in fact reviewed annually, just like I am at my job and just like many people are at their jobs. And it is a testament to his leadership, and that like Trustee Rufato said, that we did not have to lay off or furlough any of our employees, because that then gives us the ability to provide the core services that we are supposed to provide to our residents and our businesses. But as far as his pay raise, one of the things that, we always, I mean, they do it to me at my job, and, they will compare, the marketability of my salary to other like colleagues in other industries just like ours or where I work. And, there is that comparison. This increase does not bring Manager Spondilis to even at the 50% range of his counterparts in other local municipalities. It's long overdue. It has been reviewed before. It has been brought to our attention before with regard to where his salary falls in relation to our neighbors around us. And this is long overdue, and it has my absolute full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger.
President Harker?
Yes, Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that this is the market rate. If for some reason Manager Spondilis decided to leave us, and hopefully he's not thinking about that, but other municipalities may be looking, we would have to hire at probably a higher rate than what he is earning right now in order to get his kind of talent. And I'm not sure that we would be successful in getting the talent, someone who loves this village, who has dedicated his entire career to the village of Wheeling. It's easy to say you shouldn't do that from looking afar. I don't feel that Mr. Kolsak had all the facts. As a matter of fact, too many of them seem to be just made up, and I'm not sure why he did that. But Manager Spondilis deserves this raise, and he deserves a lot of credit for keeping the village afloat during this pandemic. Certainly not anything any of us wanted. Staff has been happy. Staff's not pounding on the door saying, get us out of here. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. If I may correct you, he is not at the market rate. This raise doesn't even bring him to average.
Thank you.
Just one little correction there. Trustee Vito.
Yeah, just one
I know
quick...
you always agree with John.
What's that?
I know you always agree with John.
Oh, yeah, we're always right on target. So I want to address, I feel like I'm in a presidential debate. My name was invoked, so I want to respond to the comment. I did make that comment, and it's not something that I've made only privately to Mr. Kolsak, but I made it at the Joint Plan Commission Village Board meeting 2 years ago when me and Attorney Miluzzi got a little into it, where I asked for a removal of staff recommendations. And that was not so much a dig on staff as it was me asking or just thinking that there's sometimes a little too much influence on some of the board when there's a staff recommendation one way or another. Now, I may be completely wrong with that. We all may be independent. That's just my feeling. I'm not here to bash anybody. But that, I've never been quiet about that, so I don't want anyone to think that that was a clandestine comment between me and Mr. Kolsak. As for the raise itself, there's several issues. The market rate issue is obviously an issue, and if I've learned anything on being on this board for almost 6 years now, 5 years, it's that these village managers and the directors, they move in and out, they're shopped, they're courted, and they can leave. And right now, with John being so under market rate, I feel he's been courted. We've lost through retirement and through other reasons a bunch of directors, and right now would be the absolute worst time to lose our village manager to somebody else, to have a new captain at the helm when all of the other main shipmates are also brand new. It would be terrible. I also just don't, I talk to Mr. Kolsak a lot. I talk to other people who are very, very anti-John. Sometimes I'm very anti-John, to be honest with you. But I never get the nefariousness that a lot of those people see in John. I get it. I mean, sometimes I have my problems with John where, hey, why can't we just bend the rules a little bit here? Why can't we just bend the rules a little bit there? I get it. But I don't ever feel that he doesn't have the village's best interest in mind, and that he has some type of self-serving interest. Because I don't know what the agenda is. If you're the village manager, what is your agenda? What do you get other than your salary if you do X, if you put a cement factory on which was a staging area? But I don't understand what the personal gain is, unless it's really nefarious to where you're talking bribes and things like that. And there's no allegation, no credible allegation of that that I've ever seen. So with that being said, I mean, I admittedly, when we were talking, didn't support the amount of the raise that there is, but I wasn't far off of it. I was actually originally higher than some of the people who got it up to the level that it is. So with that said, I will vote for it. John, I will still have my problems with you, so don't think that this is all roses. But yeah, I just needed to say my piece as my name was invoked in there, and I get it. I understand some of the frustration, especially when I speak to the business people out there that John's making me do this, he's making me do that, and then I talk to John and, well, that's in the code, that's in the code, that's in the code. And I want to burn the code most of the days because I think it's way too restrictive, but the code's the code. And the way to change is legislatively to advocate to the board that, hey, we shouldn't have that requirement, we shouldn't have this requirement, we shouldn't have this. It's not necessarily to attack the village manager. So I understand the feeling out there. I've talked to a lot of the people that are in that camp. I just don't see any real animus towards the village or their businesses from the village manager. I see the opposite, even though it may come off that he's being, a little bit more strict than he needs to be. But I mean, that's part of the village manager's role versus the business owner sometimes when you're enforcing the code which I hate in a lot of cases. But that is what it is, and I'll rest on that, and I'll support the raise.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. And the thing to remember is we make the code.
Correct.
He's just the guy who has to go out there and see that it's enforced. I don't know. It's probably just been asleep since he tried to get me thrown out. So, all of that being said, the real meat of the matter here is there has been a 7%, right?
We need a motion.
I know. I'm going to get there. I just want to make it real clear. There's been a raise proposed for our village manager to bring his salary up to almost, nearly, not quite, well, still less than average. I need someone to make a motion for item now, what is it?
13F.
13F. Who would like to make that?
So moved, Kruger.
Trustee Kruger made the motion.
Papantos, second.
It looks like Trustee Lang had his hand up there, though. I'm going to give it to Trustee Lang.
Whoever gets it.
Who was first?
Kruger got the motion, Lang got the second.
Okay.
That's who I saw on the screen. If you were making a motion, Joe, I'm sorry, you're not on the screen.
Okay.
That eye in the back of your head, President Walker.
It's shiny.
Trustee Vogel? Trustee Vogel?
Where'd he go?
Muted.
Oh, he's muted.
He's muted?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Trustee Lang, we missed your vote on the consensus about the proposed, consensus.
Waste management.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm a yes with that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the follow-up.
Thank you. Clerk Simpson, you had something about official communications.
Yes. Applications for mail ballots for the April 6, 2021 consolidated election will be available Wednesday, January 6th. Applications may be obtained directly from www.cookcountyclerk.com. For those who do not have access to a computer, please call 847-499-9082 to request a mail ballot application.
Thank you, Clerk Simpson.
You're welcome.
One final order of business. You have before you the bills from December 17th through December 30th, 2020. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved, Papantos.
Motion, Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Vito.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Thank you all. It was a pleasure as always. Need a motion for adjournment. We have no executive session tonight, so I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Kruger.
Motion, Trustee Kruger, second.
Second, Papantos.
Trustee Papantos. Clerk Simpson, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Lang? Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everybody.